A matchup we have all been waiting for: Syracuse and Duke. The Blue Devils, fresh off a 3-game winning streak and a monumental victory over the 7th-ranked Virginia Cavaliers, welcome the Syracuse Orange. The Orange also on the heels of a 3-game winning streak as they came back from a monumental deficit, a 20-point deficit against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish over the weekend in the Carrier Dome, and this is really a must-win for both squads as the Blue Devils come in at 10-8, Syracuse comes in at 13-6, and usually a 13-6 team would make the field of 68. However, it is looking like the Orange are on the outside looking in. I submitted a mock field of 68, as last night marked the 1 month mark away from Selection Sunday. Syracuse was not even on my first 4 out in the bracket predictions. They were on the next 4 out, including the likes of Richmond, Duke, and St. John's as well. So it's a exciting and fun time. Championship week is so close to being here, and as Champ Week starts up in just about 2 or so weeks, March 2nd is the first conference tournament with the Horizon League tournament. But back to our action tonight from Tobacco Road. Matthew Hurt, he's second in the ACC in scoring. He is dominant in Cameron Indoor, and the Blue Devils, we thought Duke was they were at 7-8, and they were really at a fork in the road. And no one anticipated this turnaround for Duke, and now they've strung together a few wins, and they're finally in the NCAA tournament conversation. So what does this mean for Duke? What does it mean for Syracuse? Syracuse, they have their final 3 games: Duke tonight, Georgia Tech on Saturday, and then they finish their game with Senior Day as they welcome the North Carolina Tar Heels, which the Heels is never a easy game, to say the least, whether you're at home or you're at the Dean E. Smith Center down in Chapel Hill. But I will say, however, Syracuse does have a harder final stretch than the Duke Blue Devils do. Duke, they do have Syracuse tonight, and then they still obviously have that gut-wrenching game at UNC, a game that is must-see TV. Will certainly be glued to our television sets, and that's a game that you're not going to want to miss. I can't stress that enough. Duke is really putting pieces all together, especially in midst of the controversy going around with Jalen Johnson. We will get that controversy and dive into the rumors and the news of the departure of the heavily touted freshman and heavily touted NBA lottery pick at halftime. But speaking of Duke right now sits at 8-6 in the ACC, 10-8 overall. And something that I need to continuously learn over the years is don't ever doubt a Coach K squad. Mike Krzyzewski knows how to do it, knows how to get it done night in and night out. And just when you think Duke is down and out, they somehow get a new sense of life, and it's insane. They beat NC State in Raleigh by 16, beat Wake Forest on the road in Winston-Salem by 24, and then came back to Durham to beat number 7 Virginia, come from behind victory, a 66-65 victory. But they have Syracuse at home tonight as they open up as the early 6-point favorite. Louisville at home on Saturday, and then they have 2 games they finish their final 2 games on the road, 2 very big games. Georgia Tech, I don't think, is a team that is getting enough attention for a potential bid stealer for the field of 68. They're at Georgia Tech on Tuesday the 2nd, and they And that matchup with UNC, they are at North Carolina on Saturday, March 6th, which is the second to last day of the regular season for the 2020-21 college basketball season. A tumultuous season that it has been for really really every single aspect of college basketball. You have the Power Fives that have been affected. You have programs, mid-major programs like Maine, Howard, Maryland Eastern Shore, just to name a few. Chicago State, they have shut down their season. But with Duke, they did cancel a few of their games against the against lower tier opponents. They canceled their game against Gardner Webb. They canceled their game against Charleston Southern, against Elon, and or earlier in the year. But if you're looking at Duke, what's something that pops out for the Blue Devils this time around? They opened up their season on November 28th rather, and this is really sort of what I got a worrying feeling about Duke is when they only beat Coppin State by 10 points. Nothing against the Eagles of CSU, but Coppin State is not your surefire program, and they only beat them by 10. Then you look at them at the December calendar month, and they lose to Michigan State by 6 in the Champions Classic. They steamroll Bellarmine, the newfounded D1 member. Then they are absolutely obliterated by Illinois. So the inconsistencies with Duke is something that if they're going to get into the first thing, I have to get into the field of 68. But if they're going to get into the field of 68, then they are going to have to make sure that their offense is consistent enough to win games. And because we all know that in March Madness, it's win or go home. And that's a simple fact. There's no we'll get him next week, or we'll get him at the road match. No. So Duke's inconsistency is seeming to go away a little bit now that they've strung together 3 straight wins and could potentially go for a 4th straight win today against Syracuse. But their offense has been seemingly clicking as along with their defense. 53 holding NC State to 53, holding the Deacs to 60 on February 17th, and then holding Virginia to 65. So if they can piece together their offense and defense, then it is going to be a stellar night for Duke in Cameron. But looking at who they've got, the sophomore from Rochester, Minnesota, Matthew Hurt has been doing it all for Coach K. 18.5 points per game, 6.4 rebounds per game, 3 straight 20-point games for the sophomore out of Minnesota, Mr. Minnesota basketball. You also have DJ Stewart, the freshman from the Windy City of Chicago, averaging nearly 13 points a game. Then you have Wendell Moore Jr., who has been elevating his game with the start of with ACC play and the ACC schedule. As we saw in the non-con portion, Wendell Moore was certainly struggling. Jeremy Roach, the freshman from Virginia, he's one of him and Stewart are one of the most talented duos. I wouldn't go as far in saying they are as talented as Zion and RJ, but DJ Stewart and Jeremy Roach, and you got to add in as well as Jamin Brakefield, the freshman from Jackson, Mississippi, has done wonders for the Blue Devils and in high pressure situations. Also having Mark Williams, the freshman from Virginia Beach, and Joey Baker Jr., the junior from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And looking at the Orange, who do the Orange have? The Orange, of course, Alan Griffin, the junior transfer from Illinois, a huge pickup for Coach Boeheim in the offseason. He's been able to get it done, and his play style reminds me of Trevor Cooney. Whenever he's hot, he's hot. Whenever he's not, he's not. And that's a real I don't know, recurring theme for a lot of Syracuse a lot of Syracuse players. So Alan Griffin, 15.2 points per game, 6.6 rebounds per game. Quincy Guerrier, the sophomore from Quebec, he had 15.2. He's averaging almost a double-double. Buddy Boeheim, the catalyst of the comeback victory against Notre Dame, and that was a stellar comeback. Sadly, I was not able to see it in person, but Boeheim is really the driving force of that offense at the second half. Marek Dolezaj, the senior from Bratislava, Slovakia. I love to say that all the time for Dolezaj, and he has been a very gritty player for Boeheim, Coach Jim Boeheim, as he has elevated himself within the program. Joe Girard, the sophomore, Mr. New York basketball, JG3, and then, of course, Kadari Richmond, Woody Newton, both freshmen from Brooklyn, New York, and District Heights, Maryland, respectively. And then Robert Braswell, we know what he can do if he gets the hot hand. But Coach K and Jim Boeheim, the site is Tobacco Road for this instant ACC Classic between two incredible long-life friends, and it is going to be an exciting one inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. And this is courtside with Sam Barber for Duke and Syracuse. The Orange, 13-6 overall, 7-5 in the ACC. They take on Duke, 10-8 overall and 8-6 in the ACC, as we are in Cameron Indoor Stadium. And it is going to be an exciting matchup tonight. Duke and Syracuse never disappoint. Duke is on a 3-game winning streak. The Orange have not won since that come-from-behind victory, 95-91, against the Blue Devils in Cameron Indoor. The infamous Elijah Hughes half-court buzzer beater, which was certainly incredible. But Matthew Hurt is the all-around player for the Blue Devils, as we are underway as the Blue Devils control the tip from Cameron. And this is a experienced starting five for Syracuse and Duke as they go inside. The two-handed flush as an alley-oop gets Duke going in the early goings. About 15 seconds in, Duke wastes no time. Syracuse starting five, Joe Girard III, Buddy Boeheim we talked about, as Dolezaj drives into the paint, and he gets the reversal score and knots it up at 2. And we talked about Boeheim being a catalyst point to that comeback. Duke starting five, Jeremy Roach, G.J. Stewart, Matthew Hurt, Wendell Moore, and Jordan Goldwire. But that will be out of bounds off Duke, the first turnover for Coach K's squad. But yes, the Orange down by 20 midway through the second half of that game against Notre Dame, a game that would have certainly have busted the Orange's bubble, and they came back behind Boeheim's 29 points as he was on fire. Guerrier with the reversal, using the glass, but that won't fall. And Williams with the pulling down the rebound, and he gives it off to Hurt. And here is Duke for 3. That will go. And if Duke gets hot from 3, they are a lethal team, as Duke is currently, they're 5th in the ACC, shooting about 36% from 3. But Wendell Moore, the 3 from the sophomore from Charlotte, as a travel is called on Syracuse, and it will go the other way. But yes, Wendell Moore, 9.3 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game. He had 24 and 10 versus Notre Dame a little bit ago in a loss to the Fighting Irish. But the Orange and Coach K, as that rattles out, and Hurt is there with the rebound. Here's another chance at 3, and that will go. Book it, Jeremy Roach. And the Blue Devils are currently hot from three-point land. Back-to-back threes for the White Shirts. And here's Girard being heavily guarded by Roach, and it is out of bounds off Girard, and another turnover, back-to-back turnovers. But the athleticism from Matthew Hurt, as he elevates over the Syracuse defenders to grab that second chance points, and it's stolen away. Here comes Girard in the Syracuse offense. They'll restart. Boeheim thought about the quick release 3, and he'll give it off to Griffin. Griffin trying to drive in, but it's Boeheim. Boeheim being heavily guarded by Roach. Griffin, and it's off the hands of Wendell Moore, and it will stay with Syracuse. 15 on the shot clock. And a high-paced offensive set that it's seeming to be for both teams, and the high-pressure defense that we all know and love for Duke. Girard trying to go inside. He'll be denied, but it's Guerrier with a second chance off the glass, and that's what I call teamwork. Quincy Guerrier to finish up what Girard could not. And Guerrier, a absolute dominant force, 10.6 points per game in his last 5 games, so has been shooting under his average. The little feed, and that will go. A amazing feed, and it's DJ Stewart knocking it down, and Duke is feeling it. And that is what you love about a Duke squad that knows that they are not their usual selves and know that they are actually playing for their postseason lives and not taking that for granted. Boeheim under, but it is a beautiful cut to Dolezaj inside, and he'll get it to go. The little kiss from the elbow. And that's truly what I love about Duke is you don't see them giving up, even though they know that they are not a usual they're not their usual driving force in the ACC and in the country. But it is Dolezaj from the weak elbow, and he buries that. But on the other end, DJ Stewart, the feed from Wendell Moore, and here's one from the weak side, and that will fall. And it's seeming like Duke is getting all the shots they want. Duke's up by 7. Guerrier is going to try and find an opening. He won't find anyone. He gives it off to Girard. Girard being heavily guarded. He'll go inside. Gives it off to Dolezaj. Dolezaj, the football pass. But Guerrier steps out of bounds, and that's the 3rd Syracuse turnover as we are 16-11 left in the first half. And that cannot happen if you're trying to stay within this ball game, as Moore dishes it in to DJ Stewart and Jeremy Roach. And speaking of Stewart with the ball, but it's Roach at the top of the key. Roach gives it inside to Moore, but that 3 won't fall. And a amazing athleticism by Joey Baker, and that will go out of bounds. Back to the Orange. So 15-47 and left in the first half, 13-6 Duke over Syracuse, as it will be Orange basketball when they come back. But yes, the Syracuse Orange, they already have 3 turnovers. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean for Syracuse? And what does that mean for Duke? As Duke is lethal in the points off turnovers department. And that's where a good portion of their points come from. And if you're Syracuse, you're going against the likes of Mark Williams, who he's the center he's the big man for Duke this year. You can't have costly turnovers, because really anyone in their main offensive gear can force turnovers, and they can get in transition. They're all athletic. They can get those fast break opportunities. So if you're Syracuse, limit turnovers, but also use your size. Obviously, you're not the size of the likes of Duke, with Matthew Hurt towering over, I believe, 6'8". The sophomore is. DJ Stewart has some size and build to himself, as does Wendell Moore. But you just got to be gritty in the early goings and establish yourself in a certain offensive rhythm. But looking back at the game against Notre Dame, SU versus Notre Dame, they were 11 for 11 from the charity stripe. Now, this is the best free throw shooting team in the ACC. When was the last time you could say that a Syracuse team was the best free throw shooting team within the regular season? I'm not sure when you could. I don't even believe I was alive at that point when you could say that Syracuse was the best free throw shooting team within the conference. But it is certainly they have cleaned up their act at the charity stripe, 79.7%, so almost shooting a full 80% as a team. And so they were 11 for 11 from the charity stripe. Outscored Notre Dame 43-21 in the second half. They out-rebounded the Fighting Irish 36-31. However, the only downside, Griffin and Girard were held to a 10-point combined. 10 points combined against the Fighting Irish, with Guerrier struggling as well. He only put up 9. So we are back from Cameron Indoor, 13-6. Duke with the early lead, 15:47 remaining in the first half, as there was one foul on Syracuse, none on the Blue Devils, as Dolezaj will give it in to Girard, and here comes the Orange offense. Girard gives it off to Guerrier. Guerrier misses the handle, and it will stay with the Orange, as it was DJ Stewart with the little butterfingers on the baseline. 22 on the shot clock, as Syracuse is trying to get something going, trying to match the offensive intensity and offensive rhythm that the Blue Devils have. So Girard inbounding, he'll give it off to Dolezaj. Dolezaj trying to look for someone as he's being heavily guarded by Hurt. The backdoor cut. Girard, no, that won't fall. But it is Braswell, Robert Braswell. He is in, the sophomore from Jacksonville, Florida, getting it to go through heavy traffic and heavy defending. As we are seeing Robert Braswell potentially getting some extended minutes, as Duke late in the shot clock, 10 on the shot clock, as they will give it inside. Hurt trying to go, and that will fall from 12 feet, as that was nothing but nets. Hurt knocks it down, and Matthew Hurt, if he gets hot, he gets hot. 56.1% from the floor this season, as Duke now back up by 7. Boeheim being guarded by Moore. Boeheim trying to go inside. He gives it off to Griffin. Griffin inside. And that is right in the hands. And playing a little back and forth. Hurt from the left side, and that will fall. And it's a double-digit lead for Duke, as Matthew Hurt buries it from the left side. And Boeheim wants to talk it over, and it's a timeout, Syracuse. 14:27 remaining in Cameron Indoor, as Duke is up by 10, and they are feeling it. And Matthew Hurt was instrumental, 22 versus Virginia. He was instrumental in powering the Blue Devils to the victory over the Hoos. So 3 straight 20-point games. It's seeming like he is going to, he's shaping up for that type of night as well. DJ Stewart, he only had 9 points versus the Virginia Cavaliers, which snapped an 8-game streak of double figures. And that's truly a unfortunate statistic, but shows you the versatility with Stewart. And Jalen Johnson, the freshman from Wisconsin, he left the team, and of course, being as it's Griffin, that'll be a short, and throwing it inside, he saves it. Robert Braswell showing some athleticism, and Jalen Johnson. The Blue Devils were 5-8 as Griffin gives it off to Dolezaj, and Dolezaj gets it to go. He has 6 of the Orange's 10 points, as he is perfect from the floor, 3 for 3. And Jalen Johnson, 5 for 8, 5-8 with Duke, but the Blue Devils 5-0 without him. So was this really a loss for Coach K? Obviously, he said he was opting out of the season, as Boeheim gets the feed from Braswell. Boeheim tries to get it to go. That won't fall. That'll be right of the rim, as Hurt grabs down the board. Here comes the Blue Devils, as Wendell Moore dribbles it up court. He finds the likes of, and he's stuffed, and there is a jump ball, and it will be Syracuse basketball, as the possession arrow will go to the Orange, as DJ Stewart stuffed on near the baseline. So a stop for Syracuse. Will they be able to turn that into offense? But Jalen Johnson is opting out of the season after he cited as a foot injury. As we see Kadari Richmond, the freshman from Brooklyn, coming in as a kickball. It will stay with Syracuse, 22 on the shot clock. But he cited the foot injury, a foot ailment, and also not seeing game time. So I will definitely give my thoughts, my 2 cents about that, as that has festered around the world of college basketball for quite some time. Richmond driving inside, and that will go. He takes it into the paint. Kadari Richmond using his size and athleticism to get the bucket. As there's a foul, and that will go against Duke, and that will be against Jamin Brakefield, the freshman, who's averaging 4.3 points per game. 4.3 points per game overall, 8 points per game at home, but he was instrumental against Virginia. 11 and 5 for the Cavs, against the Cavs rather, on Saturday, and he through 29 minutes of action, as it is Williams kicking it out to Hurt. Hurt tries to go inside, but he'll find the likes of Joey Baker. Joey Baker being guarded heavily by Griffin, but it's inside. Joey Baker for 3, and that's an air ball. And if you were at the Carrier Dome, the Orange Faithful would let you hear about it. Richmond trying to drive, kicks it out to Boeheim. Boeheim for 3. That won't fall. Griffin had a finger on it, but it's Hurt with the rebound. And here comes Duke, and it is a two-handed slam. The feed from Matthew Hurt to Mark Williams, and elevating, climbing the invisible ladder, the 7-foot big man, as he flushes it in for the big fella. Dolezaj gives it to Boeheim, as the Blue Devils now back up by 8. We are under 8 minutes gone, as Griffin loses the handle. Here comes Duke, and it is deflected and into the imaginary crowd of the Cameron Crazies. But 11:50, 20-12 Duke with the early advantage over Syracuse. Duke really seeming like the more offensively put together team, as we just saw Matthew Hurt feed it to Mark Williams, the 7-foot freshman. He is so much love for the big fella from Virginia Beach. He's only averaging 3.8 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game. Held scoreless in their victory against Tony Bennett's club over the weekend, but pretty much like anyone else, once they get going, once a player gets going, there's no stopping him. So I like Mark Williams. I think he's one of the most talented freshman bigs in the ACC, and maybe even within the country. Obviously, stats aren't everything, as we just read off a stat line, 3.8 and 3.3. However, it's not do or die by the stat line and analytics. So if you are Williams and if you are Duke, try and get those alley-oops. That was a half-court alley-oop to Mark Williams for the beautiful score and the two-handed flush for Mark Williams. And against Virginia, sticking with the Duke UVA rhetoric, Matthew Hurt, 5 for 8 from downtown against the Cavaliers. That was simply remarkable for the sophomore, as he's been tremendous. He's really been an offensive go-getter, and has taken on. Obviously, this is a very young team. Jordan Goldwire and Joey Baker are the only upperclassmen. Goldwire a senior, Baker a junior. But Matthew Hurt, the underclassman, it's always an exciting scene, and it's always going to be a beneficial and a good look for your future when a sophomore or freshman can take over and take the lead for your offensive production. And we know that has happened so many times, as Jahlil Okafor, Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, Tyus Jones. The list goes on for Duke through their incredibly long history of success on the basketball court. But Matthew Hurt, 5 for 8 from downtown. Brakefield came off the bench for 11 points in 29 minutes, so his offensive efficiency is starting to pick up. The freshman from Jackson, but they were set. They lost the battle on the glass, out rebounded 32-22 against UVA. The Hoos are one of the best rebounding teams in the conference, but it's going to be an interesting last 11 or so minutes. How can Syracuse respond? They got off to the slow start against Notre Dame, as we see Goldwire being guarded by Richmond, and Richmond got a hand on it, but it will stay with Duke, 11 to shoot. Goldwire was being heavily guarded by the Brooklyn freshman Kadari Richmond. Goldwire gives it off. Here's Duke for 3. That will go off the glass. Kiss it. And that is Jeremy Roach. He is feeling it from downtown. As Jeremy Roach now 2 for 2 from beyond the arc, as Guerrier gives it off to Richmond. Richmond trying to fuel a response from this potent Duke offense, as Richmond can't get it to go, but it's Mark Williams again. Mark Williams using his size as the big fella is feeling it, and we are going back to another timeout by Syracuse. Not even 9 minutes gone, and Syracuse has already used 2 of their timeouts as the feed from Goldwire, and it is the one-handed slam by the 7-foot Virginia Beach native Mark Williams, using it with authority. Duke up by 13. And Duke is they are showing off tonight, and really this is a testament. Who wants that NCAA bid more? Now, I'm not saying that if Syracuse is to lose this game, I'm not saying that they are going to, that it is a end-all be-all for their NCAA tournament hopes, but it is not looking good for the Orange if they come out as vanquished in this ball game. But here's Braswell giving it off to Dolezaj. Dolezaj at the top of the key, 21 guarding 21. As 17 on the shot clock, Dolezaj finds Braswell inside. Braswell gives it off to Dolezaj. Dolezaj having half of the Orange's points, and no foul called. Williams will tear down the rebound. And here comes Goldwire and the Blue Devils. Goldwire, the talented senior from Norcross, Georgia, 6.3 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, averaging 7.3 points per game at home. And that will, Matthew Hurt looking for a kicked ball, but that won't go, as Richmond will drive it inside, but won't be found by any of his teammates. Here comes Boeheim. Boeheim being heavily guarded by Stewart. 16 to shoot. Boeheim gives it off to Guerrier. Guerrier going inside. Guerrier, the hook pass. That will roll off the rim, and it's Hurt. And the Orange not getting anything to go, as they are just shooting 6 for 16 from the field compared to Duke's 10 for 15 from the floor. Hurt calling for it. Hurt will go inside. And it's another Duke 3. Book it! Another Duke 3, and that is DJ Stewart, 2 for 3 from downtown. And it is grab the umbrella, Syracuse fans, as Duke has shot 6 for 10 from three-point land. And it will stay with the Orange, 19 on the shot clock, as Matthew Hurt will take a much-needed rest. So 9:26 to play. Can Syracuse generate any offense? As Braswell will give it off to Girard. Girard being guarded by Roach. A little double team by Williams and Roach, but it's Girard dribbling with 6. And he's got 4 on the shot clock. Deep three. That won't fall. Dolezaj kicks it out, and it will go into the hands of Richmond. Griffin thought about the 3, but he'll give it off to Richmond. Richmond, the little in between the legs. Richmond off the glass, and that is a much-needed bucket for Syracuse as Kadari Richmond trying to get some offensive scoring juices flowing within these Syracuse teams. As Kadari Richmond, 13 steals in the last 4 games. As the kick out, here is another Duke 3, and that is good. DJ Stewart is feeling it. That's his third 3 of the half, and here's a 3 on the other end. Gerard fighting for the rebound. Braswell, they hit the deck, and it is Duke that comes up on top. As Griffin tries to pick off the pass, here's Gerard. Gerard will give it off to Braswell. Braswell, the little Euro step, and that won't fall. Here comes Duke. Duke's got numbers. Duke will, and that is off the hands, the fingertips of Kadari Richmond, they are saying. But oh my goodness, it is a 3-point fest by Duke. Wendell Moore, the feed to DJ Stewart. And that is absolute money. As the freshmen have 23 of Duke's 31 points. Absolutely insane. Syracuse is yet to hit a 3. As Moore here gives it off to Roach. Back to Stewart, but here's Moore being guarded by the double team. Roach for 3. That is good. Oh my goodness. And Duke is feeling it. Oh my goodness. I have no words for how good this Duke offense is showing out tonight. As Gerard gives it off to Griffin. Griffin will give it into Guerrier. Guerrier trying to muscle his way through, and that won't fall off the rim, and here comes the Blue Devils. Another 3, and that won't fall. That'll bounce out. Griffin hitting the deck, and he is trying to find Dolezaj. He does, as the Orange may have numbers. Gerard thinks about a 3. No, that won't fall. Roach with the rebound. Here comes Duke's offense to try and reset as we approach 7 minutes remaining in this first half. So all Duke. That has been the storyline for the better part of this ball game, as the Orange have been mum on the offensive side of the ball. Going inside, and that will be the easy buckets as Duke goes in for the unconventional under the basket score. They extend their lead to 22. 36-14. Dolezaj trying to get something going. Dolezaj will drive in, and he is fouled. The third team foul on Duke. But it is all the Blue Devils, and the Cameron Crazies are going crazy as it is a 3-point bonanza as the Blue Devils have hit 8 3-pointers. And that is an astronomical stat line, especially in the first half. 8 3-pointers for Duke in this ball game tonight, as Coach K's squad is absolutely bullying Syracuse on pretty much every single aspect of this game, as it is 36-14. 36-14 Duke. Now, we know that they were off to a slow start against Notre Dame. They found themselves in a 14-point hole at the half, 46-32. But how many points do you think Duke is going to get to in this first half? They're already at 36, and we have 36 minutes. Well, excuse me, we have 6 minutes remaining, and it's a no timeout. I think can save this dreadful performance by Syracuse. But the Blue Devils, it's looking as of right now, and it is looking as of right now, Duke is going to extend this winning streak unless something astronomical happens in the latter parts of the first half and into the second half, Duke's probably going to extend the winning streak to 4 games. I hope I eat my words as a Syracuse fan, but Duke leads the all-time series 10-6, dating back to 1966. So three straight wins. 3 straight wins for the Dukies, but a team that is second in the ACC in scoring at 76.5 points per game, only behind the Florida State Seminoles. The Orange not on track to even come close to that, as the Orange, of course, only with 14 points. Rebounding has been a struggle for Syracuse today as well. They're 5th in rebounding at 36.3 rebounds per game, compared to Duke's tied for 7th. So the Orange just not getting anything to go as we approach nearly 14 minutes gone in this first half. We see the likes of Marek Dolezaj being really the only offensive unit for Syracuse thus far. 6 points on 3 for 4 shooting. Richmond has come off the bench for 4 points as well. But Griffin, Gerard, and Boeheim being held to a combined 0 for 8 from the field. Not what you like to see, as Dolezaj is at the charity stripe. He misses the front end of the 2 shots. And if you are Syracuse, you're saying a prayer to the basketball gods as Dolezaj hits the back end to cut the lead to 21. 36-15, 6.5 minutes to play in the first half. Dolezaj takes a seat. And sort of a somber atmosphere for Syracuse, as Boeheim is going to have to be quite vocal in the locker room as Stewart gives it off. Here's it back in the hands of Stewart. Stewart gives it to Hurt. Hurt calling for it, but Hurt trying to find someone. Hurt looks to Wendell Moore. Wendell Moore will feed it off, but it's back in the hands of Moore. 2 on the shot clock. They got to heave something up, and that won't fall. Boeheim with the rebound, and here comes the Orange. Richmond, a little razzle-dazzle, and he'll finish. He'll be rewarded, as Kadari Richmond now has 6 points on, as that is a beautiful basket in the paint. The lead back with under 20, but no more. Matthew Hurt says, yes, please, and let me get involved in the 3-point fun fest, as the sophomore buries a 3, 16 of his last 22 makes from downtown, as Duke has almost eclipsed 40 points, as here comes the Orange, but that won't fall, as that was the likes of John Boeheim, the freshman. Here is Richmond for 3, and that is the first Syracuse 3, and that's what the Orange, as the Orange hit their first 3 of the game compared to Duke's 9. 39-20, as we just surpassed the 5-minute mark of this second half. As here's Roach, gives it off to Goldwire. Goldwire back to Roach. The ball movement is impeccable for Duke. Here's Roach for 3, and why not? Duke hits another one, as Jeremy Roach is feeling it. He hits it from the top of the key. 4 for 4 from downtown for 12 points. The freshman from Leesburg, Virginia, he surpasses season average. Here's Griffin. Griffin from the elbow. That won't fall. Guerrier trying to pull something down. Gives it off to Boeheim. Boeheim for 3, and that's good. Book it. Bullseye. Boeheim for the Orange, as they hit back-to-back 3s. As Hurt goes inside, and that won't fall. Griffin pulls it down, and no call there. Boeheim for 3 again, and that will go, and the Orange starting to heat up from 3. Back-to-back 3s for Buddy Boeheim, and that's 3 straight 3s for the Orange. As if they can get, and it's another turnover for the Blue Devils, rather. Boeheim, why not, for 3? No, that won't fall. But Richmond there to clean up the act, and it's Kadari Richmond and a little bit of a run by Syracuse. Timeout, Coach K. Kadari Richmond off the Buddy Boeheim miss. He fills it in at the rack. But it is Buddy Boeheim back-to-back threes for the junior from Fayetteville, New York, as Syracuse has cut the lead to 14. And Buddy Boeheim, 29 points for the junior. Mr. Do-It-All basketball for Syracuse against Notre Dame. 29 for a career high, and he is just getting started. And the coach's son has really elevated his stat line on that one. Now, 3 Syracuse players averaging 15.2 points per game. Shooting nearly 34% from three-point range. So he's had 5 20-point games. So we know he can do this. And we know that he can really put on an offensive gauntlet for the Orange. And this is, but also Kadari Richmond, 8 points right now, as Richmond is only averaging 6.7. The 6'5" freshman, 6.7 points per game. So he's already surpassed his seasonal average. 14, of course, versus NC State. That was his peak game of the season. A monumental role in the win over the Wolfpack, but number 3 in Orange, getting it done. And that is what you like to see. That is what you like to see, especially from a freshman. Because that just shows the maturity level of these freshman players, that they can clean up an upperclassman's miss. Now, something that I would love to see is Griffin, the junior from Ossining, New York, get hot. Gerard has had quite the quiet night. 10.5 points per game. 3 of his past 5 games have had 6 points or less. 2 of them being 6 points, and then the 5-point outing against BC. And JG3 has had quite the turbulent sophomore campaign as the Mr. New York basketball from out of Glens Falls High School, just outside the Albany area, has, I think, I truly believe that he has found his I don't know if you want to say own self, if you want to call it that. He's found himself not being able to hit as many shots as he wants. Obviously, Section 2 New York basketball versus Power 5 ACC basketball is certainly different. But an 8-0 run for the Orange in the last 75 seconds, as Roach gives it to Stewart. Back in the hands of Roach. Goldwire calling for it. Goldwire trying to shake up the double team, and it's rejected. Alan Griffin, the volleyball rejection, as he elevates using his 6'5" stature, as there will be 14 on the shot clock. Number 0 taking it to number 14 in white. Matt Hurt will go inside, and that's an air ball. And it will go to Syracuse with 3:05 to go. And a newfound light for Syracuse, as they are still 42-28, though, as we are 3 minutes remaining. Griffin, it was going to be rather Guerrier going inside, being guarded by Williams, the big man. Boeheim, and it will be a foul, and I believe it is going. And oh, Boeheim saying a little bit of explicit words, not safe for work commentary by the head coach, as bobbling the ball, as Matthew Hurt will try from downtown. That won't fall, but Mark Williams is there to clean it up. And Boeheim was looking for a foul there, as he was tripped up, as Duke is really known for tripping up players, as Richmond is fouled. That is the 4th team foul on Duke of the half. 4 team fouls on the Blue Devils. 2:23 to go. Shot clock resets to 20. 44-28, Syracuse. Can they get something to go? Boeheim trapped in the corner. Hey, they find Dolezaj. Dolezaj, a little kiss, but that won't fall. Guerrier trying to get something. Alan Griffin, the third chance opportunity. Here's Guerrier. And it will be goaltending, I believe they're calling. And that, I think that call is on Mark Williams. And as Mark Williams just trying to argue, that's my size. But no, it will be an offensive interference as Guerrier will go to the line. He misses the front end. But Mark Williams, it's hard. I mean, I can't imagine being 7 foot because I'm only 5'6", but I can imagine it is difficult. But 8 points, 4 rebounds for the freshman as Guerrier comes up empty at the free throw line. So 2 minutes to play from Cameron Indoor, 44-28 as Roach gives it off to Hurt. Hurt finds Stewart wide open. Stewart will bury it, 46-28. As Stewart now in double figures with 13. Griffin trying to beat the middleman, and Griffin will get the lucky roll as Alan Griffin finding his first couple points of the night as we approach 90 seconds remaining in the first half. As Stewart and Roach, the freshman combo, Goldwire gives it off to Hurt as Hurt almost loses the handle. And there is a foul that will go against the Orange. I believe Alan Griffin will be called for the foul with 1:24 to play. Guerrier getting into it, but Alan Griffin 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting as it will be Hurt at the free throw line for 2. Matthew Hurt connects. The sophomore has been able to do it all as the lead stretches back out to 17, 47-30. And he buries both free throws, so 48-30, cleaning up what he could not finish on the floor. 10 points, 5 rebounds for Hurt as Richmond dishes it inside. Griffin's got some space, but it's Braswell. Braswell, he'll get some contact, and he'll go to the free throw line to shoot a pair, as that's the 6th team foul on Duke, and that'll go against Mark Williams, the big fella. 2 fouls already. We're not even out of the first half. So here's Robert Braswell, and he buries it. As the Orange have come up a little bit empty at the charity stripe tonight, as they've missed, I believe, 3 or 4 free throws, but here's Braswell on the second end, and he'll hit both. So lead back down to 16 with 70 seconds remaining. Robert Braswell has definitely put on some weight, 6'7", roughly, I believe he's nearly 200 pounds. Roach giving it inside, trying to find someone, but that's the struggle for the ball, and it's a jump ball. It will stay with the Blue Devils. 54.9 seconds remaining. 13 on the shot clock. As that was Jamin Brakefield hitting the deck for Coach K. So Goldwire gives it off to Stewart. Back in the hands of Goldwire. Stewart to Roach. Roach inside the double team, but Roach is able to elevate, and they have hit the 50-point mark. And it is Duke up by 18 with 40 seconds to play, about a 13-second difference between the game clock and shot clock. Richmond going inside, and he'll drive it in. The one-handed scoop as Kadari Richmond now has 10 points as Duke can hold for the last shot. So a 16-point game. We just saw Roach rack in his 14 points for Jeremy Roach as they have 11 to shoot. Roach giving it off to Goldwire. Goldwire to Stewart. Stewart trying to go inside, and that won't fall, but it is Brakefield And a heave, good if it goes. No, and that will be your halftime score. Duke getting it done, especially from beyond the charity stripe, as it is Jeremy Roach, 14 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds for the Orange. For the Blue Devils. Duke now a 16-point favorite, so up to that 6-point pregame spread line to 16 points. Kadari Richmond, 13 points, 1 rebound. He leads the way for the Orange. But we did see a little bit of an 8-0 run in the latter parts of that second half. Now, an 18-point deficit for Syracuse. What could you do? What could you do if you are Syracuse, as we see Guerrier being held to just a 1 for 5 shooting, 2 points. Dolajai having 7, Griffin with 2, Gerard being held scoreless. We saw Boeheim with the two threes, back-to-back threes, as a part of that 8-0 run. But it's really Kadari Richmond being able to get it done. But the Orange shooting 14 for 35 for 40%, 33% from 3. They're shooting 3 for 9. But now let's just look at Duke. The onslaught of offensive efficiency. Duke is shooting 62.5% from the field. 62.5% from the field. They're 10 for 18. They're shooting just north of 55%. So if you're Coach K, you're not upset about this. And if you're Coach Boeheim, you really got to reevaluate what you are putting forth, and the offensive firepower you are putting forth in this game, because this is a ride and die game. Whoever comes out as the winner is going to be a lot better off than whoever comes out as the loser. And right now, rebounding is about the same at 17 all. Assist to turnover ratio for the Orange, 3 assists compared to 2 turnovers, so 6 turnovers rather for the Orange, so a -3 assist to turnover ratio. For Duke, it is 16 assists compared to 7 turnovers, so a +9 assist to turnover ratio for the Dukies. But it's really all Duke so far in this ball game. 3 players in double figures: Hurt with 10, Stewart with 13, and Roach with 14. As Roach and Stewart alone, the freshman duo, 10 for 14 shooting so far in the first half. Hurt chipping in at 3 for 6. He's hit 2 threes. So just the 3-point shooting is really what was the moneymaker for Duke. And if they can continue that, and into the second half, then it is going to, I think, be a runaway victory for Duke. But obviously, Syracuse has seen themselves down before and have come back. They have come back, and in exciting fashion for Syracuse fans, and at the expense of Duke fans. But elsewhere in the ACC, let's look at elsewhere in the ACC. Shall we? As the ACC, we have Duke and Syracuse. And coming up later in the week, we do have number 16 Virginia Tech taking on Georgia Tech, a battle of the Techs tomorrow in Blacksburg, Virginia. A 7:00 tip from Virginia, as the Hokies open up as a 1.5 point favorite. Notre Dame and Louisville as well. Louisville fresh off that 45-point loss to the likes of UNC. Notre Dame, of course, coming off the loss to Syracuse. But elsewhere, I would probably say Wednesday is your big basketball day. ACC fans, Clemson, Wake Forest at 4:30. Virginia, number 15, Virginia plummeting in the polls. They fall 8 spots from 7th to 15th in the latest polls, following the loss to Duke. So they're trying to rebound and regroup as they take on NC State and Charlottesville. North Carolina, playing an unconventional non-con game in late February. They're playing Marquette, the Golden Eagles, who have been a very disappointing squad. especially in the Big East. 10-12 overall. I believe they're 4-9 in the Big East. So a very disappointing turn of events for the 2020-21 Golden Eagles. They started off so promising, but have yet turned to a sort of upsetting atmosphere in Milwaukee, and then of course Miami and number 11 Florida State, the Seminoles. What Leonard Hamilton is doing is absolutely incredible. And looking at the ACC standings right now, Florida State and Virginia are tied at first place. Then you have Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Louisville, Clemson, and then our two teams, Syracuse and Duke, are really your middlemen. And then your next, you obviously have Georgia Tech, but then your next tier, it will be Notre Dame and NC State, and then Pittsburgh. What has happened to the Panthers? They've dropped four straight after really seemingly like they could be in the NCAA tournament conversation, but they're now 12th. They're now 12th in the ACC and in front of Wake Forest, Miami, and Boston College. But so that is the ACC. Now, looking at your top 25, elsewhere in the top 25, we have number 18 Texas Tech taking a trip to Stillwater as the Red Raiders try and regroup, and as they are following the loss to Kansas. It's 14-7 Texas Tech taking on Cade Cunningham, and 14-6 Oklahoma State. We still do not know. Whether or not the Cowboys will be eligible for the NCAA tournament, pending their FBI, their involvement in the FBI recruiting scandal from the 2017-2018 season. It just seems so crazy that we are still dealing with an issue all the way back to then. But it is of course a monumental occurrence in college basketball. And then finally, we're finishing up on the West Coast, number 19, USC and Oregon in a crucial Pac-12 tilt, as USC is coming off the loss to Arizona. Oregon, the Ducks, are obviously have been hit hard by COVID. They're 5-0 in their last 5 games. Wins over Washington, Arizona State, Arizona, Colorado, and Utah. As for USC, they are 4-1 in their last 5 games. Obviously, the loss to Arizona, the 9-point 81-72 loss in the desert, but you get wins over Arizona State, Washington State, Washington, UCLA being the most impressive win. That was a 20-point 68-48 win. That was really for Pac-12 supremacy. But back to our teams, and Duke and of course our friends at bracketmatrix.com. All the credit goes to Bracket Matrix on this, but the Orange and the Blue Devils, in terms of NCAA tournament, where they end up in brackets, the Blue Devils end up in 7 brackets. They're as high, I believe, as a 10 seed, and as low as being out of the field. Syracuse only ending up in 4 of the brackets. So it's quite the crunch time for both teams, and Duke is doing it without Jalen Johnson. The freshman decided last week to opt out of the season. He cited a foot ailment, but then also cited he wasn't seeing enough time. Now, let me tell you, if it's because you did not see a lot of time, and you did not see a lot of minutes, it's because you haven't been playing well. That's pretty much a no-brainer. That is a no-brainer. And I think even a kid could figure that out. That if you're not playing well, you're not going to be getting a lot of playing time and starting time. You came off the bench in 3 games, and if that is truly the reason, I know Coach Boeheim has come at Jeremy Roach for this, but if that is the true reason that you opted out, the whole opting out thing unless it is due to COVID protocol and you were legitimately afraid to play, which I don't really I wouldn't really buy that excuse because we've been playing college basketball for the better part of almost 5 months. So if you were terrified of COVID, obviously it's a changing atmosphere with COVID-19. But if you were terrified of the virus, I feel like you would have opted out before the season even started back in November. Now, if you're just opting out because you're not starting, that isn't opting out. That's quitting on your team. And of course, yes, statistics with Johnson they're 5-8. Without Johnson, they're 5-0. But that's quitting on your team, and you're a probable top 10 pick. You could be a top you could be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. However, you can't opt out. So let's say you go to Cleveland or something, or you go to Detroit or whoever. You can't opt out. You can't say, "Oh yeah, I'm not starting." So, I'm just going to opt out of this season. Because the NBA and college are two completely different ball games. No pun intended right there, but the NBA is way more cutthroat. It is a business. And yes, the NCAA is business, but the NBA is business. They are not a team is not afraid, and the National Basketball Association is not afraid to pull the plug on your NBA career and dreams. If you say, I'm going to opt out. Now, obviously, yes, do I wish him the best of luck as he prepares for the 2021 NBA draft and he prepares to try and climb up the NBA draft boards? Absolutely. I wish nothing best but the best for the freshman, the former freshman rather, and I think that he should be able to get it going, and if it is a foot ailment and a foot injury, then I hope it is I hope it heals so it does not hinder his performance in the early goings of his NBA career, which is most likely going to be a long-standing NBA career, as Jalen Johnson seems to be a surefire talented NBA player. It seems like he can play at the next level from what I've seen from the former Duke Blue Devil. But once again, if it's not because of your foot and it's just because you decided to, I don't know, pansy out of a season, shame on you, because that's just those guys on the court, they're not just your teammates, they're your family. And that's just that's not something that's going to fly at the next level. But best of luck, Jalen Johnson. Of course, we know what he can do, as we just mentioned. But back to our game, we do have somewhat of a barn. I wouldn't say a barn burner, but 52-34 is Duke shooting 55.6% from downtown and 62.5% from the floor in the first half, as they lead 52-34 against the visiting Syracuse Orange. And it was an offensive onslaught for Duke, as Syracuse never really, aside from that 8-0 run, never could get into a clear offensive rhythm, and couldn't get the workable juices to flow. And I think that's, maybe they have another 20 or so point comeback in them, but it doesn't look promising because they just did that comeback. They just did that comeback on Saturday, so their bodies are, yes, they're recovered, but not to the full extent Notre Dame. So maybe Boeheim can get something to go, or the likes of Gerard, maybe JG3 could get on the scoreboard. But it is an uphill climb for Syracuse here in Cameron, and and it is they have passed the they have passed the half-century mark at 52 points, and we know we said Matthew Hurt, DJ Stewart, Jeremy Roach, the three players that are really hammering this Orange defense, and just the size, the sheer size. For heaven's sakes, you have Mark Williams, who's in your starting lineup. When you have a 7-foot guy in your starting lineup, it's going to be a tough outing for the opposing team. But we are back from Cameron Indoor Stadium as the start of the second half is almost underway, as the big storyline, of course, the three-point shooting and the alley-oops by Duke, but 52-34 as Syracuse having a tough time and Duke getting all they want in that first half. How can they really continue that? Well, they can continue by finding those easy looks. The ball movement has been absolutely incredible, and the kickouts to Hurt, to Roach, to Brakefield, you name it, have been absolutely dominant, and it is just it's crazy. And that the Blue Devils putting up a season high for any half. 52 points, the most points they've scored in any half, as the Orange will be back up. And Griffin didn't see Gary there, but Griffin will try and drive in, and it is a early basket by Syracuse. They are up on the board about 20 seconds in. Griffin with a little reversal. And if Syracuse, not every shot has to be a three, but you need to defend the 3-point line if you were Syracuse. And here's Hurt for three. That won't fall. And it is Williams finishing the business, as he doesn't even have to jump really for the two-handed slam. And Mark Williams now in double figures. Here's Richmond, guarding three. Boeheim trying to go inside. He finds Guerrier off the glass. That won't go in, but it's Williams pulling it down. Griffin thought about defending heavily, but Duke's got numbers. The little Euro step won't fall. Here's Guerrier with the rebound. And back up, here come the Orange. Richmond, the little risky pass, but Kadari Richmond is fouled. And that will be the first on Duke of the half. But Boeheim, the little cut, but it was no sorry by Mark Williams. And Mark Williams, that's when your size can truly be a detriment to you, as Richmond is at the charity stripe as he comes up empty on the front end. And that is about 4 or 5 free throws that have been misses, as Richmond misses both. And the missed free throws are starting to pile up for the Orange, as we see Roach as Hurt almost losing the handle. 5 missed free throws as Moore gives it inside, and Dolezaj steps out of bounds. 5 missed free throws for Syracuse, and if they're sixth, they're ranked 6th in Division I, first in the ACC. Now, if it's 5 missed free throws, that could easily it could be a 13-point game. But here's Roach with the inbound. They find Moore trying to go from the weak elbow, but they are blocked out. Here comes Stewart, back in the hands of Stewart. Stewart thought about the three, and it is off the leg and ricocheting off the leg of Quincy Guerrier. Oh, the shot clock will reset to 20, a seemingly endless possession for Duke. So many second chance opportunities, as we see Roach giving it off to Hurt. Roach thought about the three. He's rejected. And here's Guerrier, the run out. Quincy Guerrier with a two-handed slam in transition, and he gets it to fall as the Orange cut the lead to 16. 54-38, the emphatic dunk from the Canadian. Here's the Orange on defense as Stewart is left wide open. That won't fall, but it is Mark Williams throwing it down. as he didn't even have to touch the rim. He's now got a career-high 12 points. Richmond trying to find some openings. Guerrier going inside, and he's fouled. Or, nope, they will call a jump ball, rather. But it is Stewart with a miss. Williams elevates. And he is all cash money. Mark Williams. Wow. What a guy. 12 points. He is perfect from the floor, mainly because it's been all alley-oops and dunks. Matt Hurt trying to find someone. He's being guarded by Boeheim. Boeheim leaving Stewart wide open. Stewart off to Roach. As here's more inside. That won't go. Guerrier collects the rebound. Richmond trying to dribble up a play. Boeheim, as we do not see, it's off the hands of Wendell Moore Jr., so it will stay with Syracuse with 23 to shoot. We're not seeing Joe Girard III in the ball game as he is on the bench. Here's Griffin for three. That won't splash. And Guerrier tried to collect something, but that won't go. And a foul, count it, and the basket as DJ Stewart will head to the line as Duke has extended their lead to 20 points. 58-38, the foul now on Alan Griffin. A little run out, Euro step, a great shot selection for Duke, knowing that you're plenty confident to go to the line, as they will try and he'll try for the traditional old-fashioned three-point play. Here's Stewart at the line as he knocks it down. 59-38 Duke. 21-point deficit for the Orange. Syracuse, you haven't been afraid, and it's Quincy Guerrier and a push, and the foul will go on number 34 in white for Duke, and that is 2 team fouls, and I believe that is the second team foul on number 34. So the dunk won't count for Gary. That's waved off. Griffin trying to dribble inside, trying to do his own work. Boeheim for three. That's rejected. And it will stay with Syracuse as Matthew Hurt tries to do some out-of-bounds heroics. 11 to shoot for the Orange. Boeheim gets it inside. Griffin! Oh, and the inbound lay-in. And that is a nice feed. Buddy Boeheim inbound feed to Alan Griffin for the easy score. As he breaks away from the Duke defenders. Stewart finds Hurt. Hurt with a double team of Dolajai. But here is Wendell Moore. Wendell Moore with the easy basket, and you cannot let that happen, as Duke has an answer pretty much for anything as we approach 4 minutes gone in this second half. So here's Kadari Richmond at the top of the key. Griffin being guarded by Hurt. Boeheim is calling for it, but Griffin trying to go inside. Griffin finds Guerrier. Guerrier almost having it batted down. Dolajai gives it off to Richmond. Richmond has to do something with 5 on the shot clock. Richmond going inside. Richmond. And he traveled with 2 on the shot clock. And it will be Duke basketball. As Mark Williams, the smothering defense from the 7-foot center, has been able to use his size. So many alley-oops and so many just two-handed slams. And, of course, off the DJ Stewart miss, it is Wendell Moore with the putback. And he did not even have to really get anything off the ground, as he was a surefire basket go-getter. He's perfect from the floor. 6 for 6, 12 and 7, as this is a player that is only averaging 3.8 and 3.3. Of course, he had 13 and 5 versus NC State, but what a turnaround! What a turnaround for the freshman. As that just shows you the maturity of Duke, and the maturity that Coach K instills in his players, even the young ones, that a freshman can go scoreless in such a marquee matchup like Tony Bennett in Virginia, and then 2 days later brush it off and say, "Hey, we're not worrying about it. It's on to the next game." That is basketball versatility at its finest, and you're seeing just that as Williams has really shook off the saying, "Hey, I know that I had a bad game at UVA, but that's in the past. This is now we are fighting for our NCAA tournament hopes, and just wow, Mark Williams, and really this freshman class in general, DJ Stewart getting it done, of course Jeremy Roach, Jamin Brakefield, and Williams topping it off at 7 foot, but just this is what you'd like to see out of a freshman class, because at any other program, you're going to have that one freshman that just cannot, always gets hung up on those games, and that shows you a certain level of immaturity from the freshmen. Of course, they're only 17, 18, 19 years old, but just shows you how ready these Duke freshmen are to shine on this all-encompassing platform. But it's also interesting to see, to be honest, we know that what Matthew Hurt's been doing. I think he'll stay for his junior year. But will DJ Stewart, will Jeremy Roach, Jamin Brakefield? I think Jamin Brakefield and Mark Williams are the two freshmen that are probably going to stay. The only answer is with Roach and Stewart, as Duke forces a turnover once again. So here is Moore trying to inbound it, being guarded by Braswell as a jump ball, and it will go to Syracuse. A much needed turnover. Now, can they make that turnover into points as they find themselves down by 21? 15:38 left in the second half, as we see Coleman go to the line. Next, we go to the bench for Duke. Here's Boeheim. Boeheim, the quick release three. Why not? Buddy Boeheim, book it from downtown. He has 9 points. He now has three pointers, and it is as Griffin is not happy with the call on the court, as that will be a foul, I believe, on Alan Griffin. And if that's a foul on him, as we see Stewart go to the bench, and in comes Jamin Brakefield. That's a foul on Griffin. That's his second. So Braswell guarding Moore, as Hurt a lot of smothering defense. I think they've broken it. Yep, they have. They get it across half court. Hurt with the double team from Griffin and Boeheim, as Moore trying to find inside, but he gives it off to Goldwire. 14 on the clock, as it's Roach. 7. The Blue Devils have to do something, as he gives it off to Moore, and it's rejected. But Williams at the other end, but Matthew Hurt is there to clean it up, and no call. Matthew Hurt was looking for the foul, and as was the Duke faithful, but there's no call. Boeheim thought about the three, but he'll dish it inside, and Dolezaj will hit hard. He'll hit the deck hard, but he is fouled, and that will go against Matt Hurt. And as Marek Dolezaj, the senior from Slovakia, trying to go, but yes, that is all arm and no ball. If you're Matt Hurt, and a little scary fall on that left leg, but all smiles for Dolezaj as he knocks down the first. And it's of course he has plenty of toughness as with Duke as he connects on both, back to a 16-point game. Dolezaj, of course, we know his grittiness. He lost a tooth earlier in the year, took a charge by Zion Williamson, who's almost 300 pounds. And Duke is tipped, and here comes Richmond. Richmond gives it off to Boeheim. Boeheim gives it away as he steps out of bounds and right on the sideline as the turnover becomes a turnover. And you can't do that if you're trying to claw your way back into the ball game. But I will say that I do like the grittiness of this Syracuse defense in the second half as they get it across. Roach finds a free Hurt books it as he buries the three, and it is now back to, it's going to be called a long two rather, but nevertheless, Matthew Hurt burying it. Guerrier trying to find Boeheim. Boeheim thought about the three, but it's Guerrier being guarded by the 7-footer, Mark Williams. Dolezaj, as here's Griffin for three. That will rattle home. Alan Griffin feeling it, and he's got the 3-point fever coursing through his veins, and it is a crazy down the court pass, but it'll go for Goldwire. Excuse me, rather Wendell Moore. Here's Boeheim. Boeheim dribbling through heavy traffic. He'll use the glass, and that will go in and out and back in, and it's back to a 15-point game. And as they are trying to trap out Mark Williams, but it's Matthew Hurt. He'll find the two-handed flush, and it is seeming that it is always an answer for if Syracuse has a good play, it's always an answer for Duke. Here's Richmond. Richmond, the kick out. Here's Alan Griffin. Rather Quincy Guerrier. My names are all mixed up today, but Quincy Guerrier for three as the Orange now 3 out of 5 on 3-pointers in the second half. Here is the putback by Williams won't fall. Here comes the Orange in transition. Boeheim, the little ankle breaker as Griffin thought about the three. Griffin will kick it out to Boeheim. Boeheim for three. No, that won't go. And it will stay with Syracuse. They are saying it's off the hands of a Duke defender. 12:40 on the game clock. Boeheim will take a much-needed break. So 67-53, Orange down by 14. They were down by 18, but Boeheim now in double figures as we see Girard make his first appearance of the second half, nearly 8 minutes in. So Richmond, he gives it off to Guerrier. Guerrier looks for Girard. Girard back in the hands of Richmond. Now to Girard. Girard is trying to write up a play. Griffin with 9 to shoot. Griffin being guarded by Goldwire. Griffin for three. That won't go. And it's back right in the hands of Jordan Goldwire as Girard trips up. Here is, and that won't fall for Stewart as Goldwire almost loses the handle. Now, here's Roach back with number 14. And number 14, and that's a big splash by Jordan Goldwire as he buries it with a hand in his face from the SU defender. Quincy Guerrier from the top of the key. He won't have an answer, but it's Griffin with the putback. And yes, that will go. Alan Griffin having the response and the little run out. And another alley-oop dunk to Mark Williams. And he is feeling it in the dunk department tonight. Girard thought about a shot. He'll give it off to Richmond. Richmond being guarded by Hurt. The little fake, and that won't go. Guerrier can't get the call. And the little pocket pick won't fall, and a foul is called on Syracuse with 11:17 to go. And it is a 72-55 lead for Duke right now. So a Duke is still trying to keep that pressure going, but Syracuse is showing a little signs of life, but is it a little bit too late? What my takeaways right now is that it is appearing that it is a if one player is hot, then three aren't for Syracuse, and it's frustrating if you are a Syracuse fan to see that, and especially Joe Girard, he has not had a good season whatsoever. I think he shot the ball horribly, and his shot clock awareness as well as his shot clock as well as his shot selection have been poor. Now, yes, you are only a sophomore, and yes, you have only been playing at the college level for 2 years. However, I will say that you need to you got to have a certain level of I don't know, awareness, especially when it comes to your shot selection and it comes to the 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 playmaking ability that you have, and you need to adjust. You need to adjust to every single player. So it is it's it's been an inconsistent. We talked about the team inconsistencies for Duke that plagued them in that 3-game losing streak, but also I think it's the individual inconsistencies for Syracuse. We no player is really that consistent, and giving them that go to scorer. And if I guess you could say maybe Marek Dolezaj is a uh, is a player that has shown himself to be worthy enough of that title. I guess if you want to call it that, but Syracuse is going to have to limit Duke baskets and maybe force a couple of turnovers and get some points off turnovers if they're going to want to get back into this game. But if not, it is going to be a very long flight back to Syracuse from Tobacco Road. But just looking at it, what the thing that I do not understand with Syracuse, you were the sixth best free throw shooting team in the country, first in the ACC, and you're giving up so many free throws in this ball game, and it could be a 12-point game, but instead it is a 17-point game as of right now. But here's Duke trying to run it up. 22 left on the shot clock. As here's Stewart. He finds Roach. Roach being guarded by Boeheim and Goldwire. Back in the hands of Stewart. Roach trying to find something. 10 on the shot clock. Goldwire, the feed inside to Hurt. Hurt with 6 to shoot. Hurt being guarded heavily. That won't go. And there is a foul. And I believe Matt Hurt was just fouled on a 3 by Joe Girard. And Coach Boeheim is not happy as Girard is getting an earful of it as Matt Hurt sinks the first. And Matthew Hurt, a sophomore from Rochester, Minnesota, can't get the second one to fall. That's a rare miss for Hurt, as the Orange here's Boeheim in the paint. Boeheim being guarded. The guarding presence is heavy, but it will be a foul on the deck as Dolezaj will give the Orange a fresh 20. So Boeheim gives it into Braswell. Braswell with 17 to shoot. Now into the hands of Griffin. Griffin trying to find some space as the pass, half court pass, as Braswell steps out of bounds, and it will be Duke basketball with 10:25 to go. So Robert Braswell stepping out of bounds, and another empty trip for Syracuse as the lead is up to 18. Matt Hurt trying to find someone. He finds Williams. Williams back to Hurt. Hurt trying to get it across as they do the half court pass to avoid the turnover, the half court turnover. Here's Roach now in the hands of Stewart. Back to Roach. Now to Goldwire. Williams inside, the rocket pass to Stewart, and that won't go, but Williams with the putback as always, and it's back up to a 20-point game as we have approached the halfway point of the second half. Griffin, and an offensive foul on Allen Griffin and Syracuse as Jeremy Roach takes the charge as Williams yes, Dolezaj is tall, but Mark Williams says, hey, let me show you one more. As he now has a double-double, 16 points, 10 rebounds, his first double-double of his career. As here's a fast break opportunity, but the Orange come back as the little sluggish pass across the half court as here is Roach trying to dribble out some time. Back in the hands of Roach off the pass from Goldwire. Here's Goldwire. Roach at the top of the key. He thought about a three, but here's Goldwire for three, and that will go. And the three-point shooting continues for Duke as they now have 13 threes in this ball game, and the lead has extended to its highest of the game at 23, rather 12 three-pointers. Here's Boeheim being guarded heavily. Boeheim inside the paint, and he's rejected, but he gets his own miss, and he'll get the dish and score. Buddy Boeheim. Here's Goldwire, and he'll pass it off a little easy pass to Roach. Back to Roach and Stewart. Syracuse only shooting 6 for 18 from downtown. And here comes Goldwire now with 5 to shoot. And it is Mark Williams being stuffed at the rim, a rare stuffing at the rim, and the Orange come away with it. Guerrier trying to find some space. As Quincy Guerrier finds Dolezaj. Dolezaj being guarded heavy by Stewart. Dolezaj. Here's Braswell for 3. No, that won't fall. Dolezaj with the pickup. He cleans up the mess, and it's Merrick Dolezaj going underneath the hoop for the score. He has 11 points and 3 rebounds. Here comes Matt Hurt. Matt Hurt, little bounce pass. And here's a 3, and that will fall from the top of the key. DJ Stewart, and the Blue Devils are now back up by 23, 81-59, and this is turning into an absolute rout. And here's Guerrier. Guerrier to Dolezaj inside as Goldwire will be called for the reach-in. But if you're Syracuse, you are going to need a miracle to come back from this one. 81-59 Duke with 7:39 to go in the second half. But the 3-point shooting is going all too well for Duke, especially in the first half. But you were seeing the there's something about this the two I think it's a duo. It's a freshman duo. Jeremy Roach, DJ Stewart. You just gotta love it. They work together like peas and carrots or peanut butter and jelly. They mesh well, and really what you see. Let's take a and also you can probably add in Mark Williams as well. That's a solid core 3 of freshmen for Duke. So Mark Williams, Jeremy Roach, DJ Stewart, that they know how to distribute the ball. Their ball distribution is absolutely on point. And take a NBA example. Brooklyn. They have Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving. those three can't mesh well. Now, you will find an unlimited amount of success if you can mesh well within the within your trio, really, and if you can get all three players are in double figures for Coach K tonight. If you can get all three players positive minutes, positive looks, and find them quality baskets, then it's a win-win for you. They are just absolutely incredible. Mark Williams has 16 points and 10 rebounds as he is having his first career double-double of his career. So just absolutely an offensive onslaught by Duke as the Blue Devils are getting it done in more ways than one. So we are back from Cameron Indoor Stadium as Duke has the commanding 81-59 lead, as it will be Duke basketball on the inbounds, as it is. We just saw it'll be Syracuse basketball rather, as Goldwire was called for the reach-in from the weak elbow. So 81-59, Gerard trying to find someone. He finds Braswell a behind the no-look pass. Here's Gerard. Gerard with 14 to shoot. He's seen no points as Gerard being guarded, and he left up a easy basket. Dolezaj with 3 to shoot. He's got to do something, and that will be no good, and it is another empty trip from the Orange. And if you're Syracuse, you just what are you doing at this point from an offensive standpoint? Here's Goldwire off into the hands of Roach. Under 7 to play, as there will be 8 to shoot, as it was off the hands of Kadari Richmond. We see Boeheim come back in. He relieves Guerrier. Buddy Boeheim. Goldwire with the inbounding duties. And Goldwire to Stewart. Goldwire for 3 late in the shot clock. That won't fall. Boeheim pulls down the rebound. Here come the Orange. They've got numbers. Kadari Richmond being guarded. He does the fake. And the reversal, but that won't fall. Braswell kicked it around, but it will go back into the hands of DJ Stewart. And Duke really, if you're Duke, you can just dribble out time. Here comes Stewart back to Goldwire. Now it will stay with Duke as it was off the leg of Marek Dolezaj. Here comes Matt Hurt. And the Orange will talk about it with a timeout. 81-59 Duke when we come back from Cameron Indoor Stadium. Oh, shit. Oh, damn.